The scientists of the Galactic Federation sat in their meeting room, looking at the large screen showing red dots across the star map. These red dots marked the dangerous planets they called Deathworlds, places where no intelligent life could survive. "Another routine scan of Sector 7?" asked Chief Scientist Zax, his blue skin reflecting the soft light of the room. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he waited for the daily report. "Yes, Chief," replied Junior Scientist Veen, her thin fingers moving across the control panel. "All Deathworlds remain empty, as usual. The gravity on these planets would crush most species, and the atmospheric pressure alone would." She stopped suddenly. Her hands froze above the controls. "Is something wrong?" Zax moved closer, seeing how Veen's antenna had gone stiff. A clear sign of shock among her species. "Chief, I'm picking up signals from planet E3, but that's impossible. It's one of the most dangerous death worlds we've marked." Her voice trembled as she increased the power to their sensors. The room fell silent as clear signals began playing through their systems. Radio waves, television broadcasts, and thousands of digital communications filled their screens. But that wasn't what made the scientists step back in fear. They saw cities. Huge cities made of steel and concrete, stretching across the deadly planet's surface. Millions of beings walked these cities, breathing the nitrogen-oxygen mix that would be toxic to most galactic species. These creatures, these humans, were doing the impossible. "Look at their data," whispered one scientist, reading the incoming information. "Average temperature range, -50 to +50 degrees. Atmospheric pressure 100 and 1.325 kilopascals. Gravity 9.8 meters per second squared. Nothing should be able to live there." But the humans didn't just live there. They thrived. The scientists watched in amazement as their screens showed humans running for fun, swimming in acid-filled oceans. They called it salt water, and even jumping out of flying vehicles for entertainment. They saw humans living in frozen wastelands and burning deserts, adapting to conditions that would kill any other known species. "They eat capsaicin for pleasure," muttered Zax, reading the cultural data. "A chemical weapon that causes burning pain. And they put it on their food." More shocking images filled their screens. Humans kept predators in their homes as pets. They played games that involved throwing their bodies at each other for fun. They lifted heavy weights just to get stronger. Some even climbed frozen mountains without protection, calling it a sport. "Should we contact them?" asked Veen, her voice small in the quiet room. Before Zax could answer, new data poured in. The humans were building ships, spaceships. They were planning to leave their death world and explore the stars. "They don't know," Zax realized, his 4 eyes widening. "They don't know they're not supposed to exist. They think their world is normal." The scientists watched as more information about humans filled their database. These creatures could heal from broken bones, regrow damaged skin, and fight off diseases that would wipe out other species. They could go days without sleep, survive weeks without food, and adapt to almost any environment. "The galaxy isn't ready for them," whispered Veen. "They're going to change everything." On their screens, a human rocket launched into space. The creatures inside were excited, not terrified. They weren't running from their deadly world. They wanted to explore and find new challenges. Zax made his decision. "Send word to the Council. They need to know." He looked at the image of Earth spinning on their main screen. "The Deathworlders are coming, and they don't even know they're special." As the message was sent, the scientists kept watching their screens. They saw humans laughing, playing, fighting, and building. This species had grown up alone on their deadly world, thinking their strength was normal, their endurance ordinary. Soon, they would learn the truth. Soon, they would meet the rest of the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same. The scientists of the Galactic Federation had just discovered humanity. They just didn't realize that humanity was about to discover them too. The cloaked alien ship hung silently above Earth's atmosphere. Inside, research team leader Zax and his crew had been watching humans for 3 months now. What they saw kept surprising them more each day. "Sir, you need to see this," called Observer Veen, her antenna twitching with excitement. The humans are doing something impossible again. On their view screen, a human was diving into deep ocean waters. No protective suit, no breathing equipment, just a simple mask and air tank. The water pressure at that depth would crush most species. "How deep is that human going?" Zax asked, all 4 eyes fixed on the screen. 40 meters, sir. And they're staying there, taking pictures of dangerous marine predators. Veen checked her readings again. They call it scuba diving, and do it for fun. Another observer, Krill, called from his station. "That's nothing. Look at this footage from their Arctic region." The screen switched to show humans swimming in nearly frozen water, cutting holes in ice to do so. They called it a polar plunge, deliberately jumping into water cold enough to kill most species instantly. "Their bodies should shut down in those temperatures," Krill said, shaking his head. "But they just laugh and do it again." Speaking of their strange behaviors, Veen added, "I've been studying their homes. Sir, they keep predators inside their living spaces." The screen showed various Earth pets, wolves they had domesticated into dogs, small tigers they called house cats, and even more exotic creatures like snakes and spiders. "They sleep with these predators in their beds," Veen continued, her voice filled with disbelief. "The predators protect them and show affection. It's like they formed emotional bonds with deadly creatures." Zax moved to another monitoring station, where they watched humans in something called a gym. Here, humans deliberately damaged their muscles by lifting heavy weights, running on machines that went nowhere, and punching things, only to grow stronger from it. "Their healing ability is extraordinary," noted the ship's medical officer, Dr. Yix. "They deliberately tear their muscle fibers to make them stronger. Any other species would be permanently injured." Suddenly, alarms blared across the observation deck. On the main screen, they watched in horror as a human settlement was struck by something they called a tornado, violent winds that could lift buildings. "We should help them," Veen cried out. But before anyone could respond, they saw something even more shocking. Humans were running toward the danger. They called themselves storm chasers and first responders. While some humans fled the disaster, others drove straight into it, rescuing their fellows, protecting their young, and facing the deadly winds without fear. "Look at their vital signs," Dr. Yix whispered. "Their bodies are flooded with adrenaline and cortisol, fear chemicals. They're terrified, but they're doing it anyway." The observation team watched as humans formed chains, passing their young ones to safety, lifting debris that should be too heavy to move, and surviving conditions that would kill any other known species. "Sir," Krill called out, his voice serious, "we've detected their first deep space probe leaving their solar system. They're not just exploring their world anymore. They're reaching for the stars." Zax stared at the screen, watching humans celebrate after saving their people from the tornado. These creatures could survive almost anywhere, faced their fears daily, and treated deadly predators like family. And now they were heading to space. "They're not just Deathworlders," Zax realized. "They're protectors. They'd run into danger to save others, and soon they'll be able to reach other worlds." "Should we stop them?" asked Veen. "Could we stop them?" Dr. Yix wondered aloud. "They've survived everything their deadly world has thrown at them. They've turned predators into friends and dangers into sports. They've learned to heal faster, grow stronger, and thrive where others would die." As if to emphasize his point, the screen showed a new image: human children playing in the rain, splashing in puddles of water that would scald other species, laughing as lightning. Literal bolts of plasma flashed overhead. "No," Zax decided. "We don't stop them. We prepare the galaxy for them. Because ready or not, humanity is coming. And they're going to change everything. In orbit above Earth, the observation team watched as another human rocket launched into space. This time, it carried something new, plans for their first faster-than-light engine. The age of humanity's isolation was coming to an end. The day humanity officially met the galaxy started with a misunderstanding. The Galactic Federation's finest diplomatic vessel, carrying representatives from 12 species, detected a human space station and decided to make first contact. What they didn't expect was for the humans to already spot them through what they called old radio telescope technology. "They're hailing us," Ambassador Zax announced, surprised. "In over 300 first contact scenarios, we've always had to initiate communication." The human space station, labeled ISS, had a crew of 6 aboard. When the communication screens activated, both sides stared at each other in silence. The humans didn't scream at seeing alien life. Instead, they smiled. "Welcome to Earth's orbit," the human commander said, showing those strange teeth that other species used only for threats. "Would you like to dock with our station? We have coffee." The alien delegation didn't know what coffee was, but they agreed. As their ship connected to the ISS, their medical officer, Dr. Yix, checked the readings again. "The humans are keeping their station at 21% oxygen," he muttered. "They're living in what most species would consider a highly flammable environment." The airlocks opened, and history was made. Humans, wearing what they considered light protective suits, met the heavily armored alien delegation. The aliens had prepared for every scenario except what actually happened. The humans wanted to show them everything. "This is our hydroponic garden," one human scientist said excitedly, showing plants growing in space. "We're learning to grow food in zero gravity. Want to try a space tomato?" The aliens watched in horror as the humans casually ate fruits containing acids that would burn through most species' digestive systems. "And here's our exercise room," another human proudly displayed. "We have to work out 2 hours daily to maintain bone density in space." The aliens observed as humans strapped themselves to machines and deliberately strained their bodies. Even in space, they continued their strange practice of damaging themselves to grow stronger. But the real surprise came during the tour's middle. A small alert sounded through the station. "Minor debris incoming," the human commander announced casually. "Standard procedure, nothing to worry about." Before the alien delegation could react, the station shook slightly as space debris struck its shields. The humans barely seemed to notice. They had built their station to withstand regular impacts from space rocks traveling at lethal velocities. "Do you?" Ambassador Zax started carefully. "Do you often get hit by space debris?" "Oh, all the time," the commander shrugged. "We track about 23,000 pieces of space junk. Our record is 47 evasive maneuvers in one day. Want to see our tracking system?" The aliens looked at each other in disbelief. Humans had turned their orbital space into a deadly obstacle course and treated it as normal. They flew through fields of high-speed debris daily and considered it merely an inconvenience. During their shared meal, where humans casually consumed enough calories to power a small alien city, they discussed cultural exchange. "We'd love to visit your worlds," a human diplomat said enthusiastically. "We've already designed ships for various gravity levels. Some of our people are very excited about experiencing 2G environments." The alien delegation tried to hide their shock. The humans were looking forward to visiting high-gravity worlds for fun. But the biggest surprise came when a small emergency occurred. A power fluctuation hit the station's oxygen systems. While the aliens rushed to their ship in panic, the humans calmly put on emergency masks and fixed the problem, working efficiently in what should have been lethal conditions. "Sorry about that," the commander said afterward, as if they hadn't just survived a potential catastrophe. "These things happen in space. Anyone want to see our antimatter experiments?" As the first contact meeting concluded, both sides had learned important lessons. The aliens discovered that humans didn't just survive in space. They had made it their playground. They treated lethal radiation, deadly debris, and the constant risk of explosive decompression as normal working conditions. The humans, meanwhile, were thrilled to learn they weren't alone, but seemed more excited about the engineering challenges of visiting alien worlds than the historic significance of the meeting. As the alien ship departed, Ambassador Zax made his final log entry. First contact with humanity successful. Key observation: we may have made a mistake classifying Earth as the Death World. After meeting humans, it's clear Earth isn't the Death World. Earth is the training ground, and its inhabitants are about to graduate. Back on the space station, the humans were already drafting plans for improved ships, eager to explore their new galactic neighborhood. They had one simple question that terrified the alien delegation. What's the most challenging environment we can visit first? The galaxy was not ready for humanity's enthusiasm. 3 months after first contact, the Galactic Sports Federation announced what they called the Interspecies Survival Challenge. It wasn't their idea. The Drachnids, a proud warrior race, had demanded it after hearing stories about human abilities. These humans cannot be as strong as reported, the Drachnid champion, Chorus, declared to the gathered media. We challenged them to prove their worth. The humans' response surprised everyone. They sent a high school gym teacher named Sarah Chen. I teach teenagers how to play dodgeball, Sarah said with a shrug. I think I can handle this. The challenge would take place on Neutral Station Alpha, a massive space facility designed to accommodate all known species. The events were chosen to test different aspects of survival ability. First challenge: endurance run. The contestants had to run in a standardized gravity chamber set to 1.2 g, slightly higher than Earth normal. While other species prepared with mechanical assistance, Sarah started stretching. Shouldn't you wear an exo support? Asked a concerned alien official. Nah, Sarah replied, putting on what she called running shoes. I do marathons for fun back home. She not only completed the run but spent the time teaching alien children who watched from behind safety glass how to play I Spy. Second challenge: toxin resistance. Contestants had to eat foods considered mildly dangerous by galactic standards. The aliens wore protective suits and carried neutralizers. Sarah identified most items as stuff you'd find at a decent Thai restaurant and asked for extra spicy sauce. This is mild, she commented, eating something that made the Drachnid champion pass out. My students eat hotter things in their lunch breaks. Third challenge: environmental adaptation. Each species had to survive in rapidly changing temperatures. The aliens used advanced thermal suits. Sarah put on what she called a jacket for cold and took off her sweater for heat. You know what would make this fun, she said during freezing conditions. Ice cream. The turning point came during the fourth challenge: crisis response. The station simulated an emergency where contestants had to rescue trapped civilians from a damaged section. While other species carefully calculated risks and prepared safety equipment, Sarah heard a child crying in the simulation and immediately ran in. She not only rescued the robot child, but stopped to fix a leaking pipe on her way out because it seemed like it might cause problems later. But how did you know what to do? Asked the stunned judges. I coached the school's emergency response team, she said. Plus, I grew up in California. You learn to handle earthquakes, fires, and floods pretty young. The final challenge was supposed to be combat training. Instead, Sarah introduced the aliens to dodgeball. The resulting game became the first interspecies sport, with Sarah teaching different species how to adapt the rules to their unique abilities. The point isn't to be the strongest, she explained, helping a tentacled alien learn to catch. It's about working with what you have and having fun while doing it. The Drachnid champion, Chorus, who had started the challenge, ended up becoming Sarah's student. Humans aren't just strong, he admitted during the closing ceremony. They're teachers. They don't just survive. They help others learn to thrive. But the biggest surprise came after the challenge ended. The aliens discovered Sarah wasn't considered particularly special among humans. Oh no, she laughed when asked if she was some elite specimen. I'm pretty average. You should meet our emergency responders, or maybe some kindergarten teachers. Now those people are tough. The broadcast of the challenge became the most watched event in galactic history. But it wasn't the human victory that amazed people. It was how Sarah kept stopping to teach, help, and encourage others, even during competition. The Galactic Federation had to create a new classification. Humans weren't just Deathworlders anymore. They were now classified as guardian species, beings who not only survived but helped others survive too. As Sarah prepared to return to Earth, she left the aliens with one final surprise. She'd been grading papers between events. "Can't let my students fall behind," she explained. "We're starting our unit on space exploration next week. Though I guess I'll need to update the curriculum a bit now." The galaxy had expected to witness human strength. Instead, they discovered human kindness. And somehow, that was even more remarkable. The emergency signal reached Earth at 3:47 a.m. Standard Earth Time. The peaceful Mirax civilization had just discovered their sun was dying far faster than any models predicted. Within days, their home system would experience massive solar flares that would destroy their civilization. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The Mirax homeworld's intense magnetic fields and radiation levels meant most species ships couldn't even approach without failing. The evacuation seemed impossible. Then humanity's UN Space Command spoke up on the emergency channel. "Hold our coffee. We'll handle this." Within hours, Earth unleashed what they called Operation Impossible Day. They had been retrofitting old nuclear submarines into space vessels, arguing that anything designed to survive deep ocean pressures could handle space with some modifications. "Those are museum pieces," protested the Galactic Council's chief engineer. "Exactly," replied Admiral Chen, Sarah's mother. "They're built to handle radiation, extreme pressure, and can run silent in crisis conditions. Plus, they're already shielded against electromagnetic pulses. We've got 30 of them ready to launch." The council watched in shock as humans began their rescue operation. They didn't send their newest ships. They sent their oldest, toughest vessels, crewed by volunteers from Earth's most dangerous professions: deep-sea salvage teams, disaster rescue workers, and Antarctic researchers. "The sub's hulls can handle the magnetic fields," explained Captain Maria Rodriguez of the U.S. Nautilus II. "And our crews? Well, we're just too stubborn to die." The first challenge came when they discovered the Mirax's atmosphere was mostly methane. Most species would have taken days to engineer a solution. The humans? They called Iceland. "Oh, methane environments," said the Icelandic scientist they consulted. "We train in volcanic vents all the time. Here's how you handle it." As the solar flares began, humanity showed why they were different. Other species focused on the impossible conditions. Humans focused on the people who needed help. They converted cargo holds into emergency shelters using techniques learned from refugee crises. They used experience from mining disasters to stabilize collapsing structures. When radiation levels spiked, they relied on knowledge from Chernobyl cleanup veterans. "The impossible just means we haven't tried hard enough yet," became the operation's unofficial motto. But the real surprise came from how they handled the Mirax children. The aliens were terrified, facing the death of their world. Humanity's solution: they brought teachers. "We've got experience helping kids through disasters," explained Dr. Jackson, a child psychologist. "Want to know our secret weapon?" The humans introduced the Mirax children to something they called Mr. Rogers, ancient Earth videos about kindness and handling fear. They organized games, told stories, and turned the evacuation ships into what they called adventure camps. When a solar flare hit one of the rescue ships, damaging its drive, everyone expected disaster. Instead, the human crew broke out musical instruments. "We're having a space camping trip until help arrives." They told the scared Mirax children, "Who wants to learn Earth songs?" By the time backup arrived, the children were teaching the humans Mirax songs in return. The operation hit its biggest crisis when the Mirax sun began its final phase earlier than expected. 3 ships were still on the surface. The radiation would kill any living thing in minutes. The humans' solution: they stopped trying to survive it. "We've got these new experimental remote control systems," said Technical Sergeant Wei. "Originally designed for deep-sea volcanic vents. We'll pilot the ships from orbit." "But you'll lose 3 ships," protested the Galactic Council. "Yes," replied Admiral Chen, "but we'll save everyone." The remote rescue worked. The ships were lost, but every single Mirax was saved. In the operation's aftermath, the Galactic Council discovered something shocking about the human crews. Many of them had come from places on Earth that had faced natural disasters. "My hometown was hit by a hurricane when I was a kid," Captain Rodriguez explained. "Got rescued by the Coast Guard. Promised myself I'd do the same for others someday. Never thought it'd be in space, but hey, same principles apply." The Mirax civilization was safely relocated to a new colony world, but they insisted on one unusual addition to their new home. They built their schools using Earth designs. "The humans didn't just save our bodies," their leader explained. "They showed us how to keep hope alive. That's the most important survival skill of all." The mission redefined what was impossible in galactic terms. But for humanity, it was just another day of doing what they'd evolved to do: facing the impossible, adapting to survive, and helping others along the way. As one young Mirax put it, singing an Earth song in their new home. "The humans taught us that the best way to handle fear is to face it together." The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's chief xenobiologist, rolled a simple metal ball across the grand table. It stopped in front of the council leader, who stared at it in confusion. "This," Maya said with a smile, "is how humans made our greatest discoveries. We call it playing catch." The council had gathered to discuss a formal alliance with humanity, but they couldn't understand why humans kept suggesting games as part of diplomatic meetings. They were even more confused when Maya pulled out other items: a jump rope, a deck of cards, and something called a Rubik's Cube. "You see," she explained, "humans learn best when we're having fun. We turned our most complex problems into games." To demonstrate, she showed them videos of human children learning algebra through hopscotch, physics through basketball, and chemistry through cooking. The aliens were amazed to see that humans had turned even their most advanced scientific research into what they called thought experiments. "Einstein imagined riding on a beam of light," Maya said. "We sent people to the moon because we treated it like the ultimate climbing challenge. We cured diseases by visualizing viruses as puzzle pieces." The council was skeptical until Maya introduced them to something humans called brainstorming. She divided the galaxy's greatest minds into teams and gave them each a different Earth party game. The results were extraordinary. The Arcturian quantum physicists, playing with Play-Doh, developed a new theory of dimensional folding. The Centaurian engineers, using Lego blocks, designed a revolutionary propulsion system. The Proximan mathematicians, playing chess, solved a century-old computing problem. "This is how humans think," Maya explained. "We never really grew up. We just turned our play into progress." But the real breakthrough came when an alien child wandered into the council chamber, attracted by the games. Instead of removing the child, the humans invited them to join. "Watch this," Maya said, as she taught the child and a group of alien diplomats a game called Simon Says. Within an hour, species that had never been able to communicate due to different anatomies were locking together, creating new gestures and movements that everyone could understand. "Games," Maya explained, "are humanity's universal translator." The council was beginning to understand, but then humanity revealed their masterstroke. They proposed the Galactic Science Olympics, turning the race for technological advancement into a collaborative competition. Instead of keeping secrets, suggested Dr. Patel, we make discovery itself the prize. Every breakthrough is shared, every advancement celebrated together. The aliens were shocked. But how will anyone maintain an advantage? Maya laughed. That's the beauty of it. The real advantage comes from how many different ways we can look at the same problem. Every species thinks differently. That's not a barrier, it's a gift. To prove her point, she showed them humanity's latest project, a virtual reality system that lets species experience each other's worlds. Humans had turned their own adaptability into a teaching tool. Try this, she said, handling out VR headsets. Experience Earth as we do. The aliens were stunned. Through human eyes, Earth's crushing gravity became a chance to dance. Its deadly radiation became beautiful auroras. Its extreme temperatures became opportunities for different kinds of celebration. We're not special because we're strong, Maya explained. We're special because we never stopped seeing the wonder in things that could kill us. The council made their decision. They didn't just want an alliance with humanity. They wanted to learn how to think like humans. The formal treaty was signed with an unprecedented addition. A playground would be built next to every diplomatic facility in the galaxy. To remind us, the council leader declared that the greatest discoveries come when we're not afraid to play. As the alliance celebration began, Maya introduced the gathered species to something called a piñata, the sight of the galaxy's most dignified diplomats, blindfolded and laughing as they swung at a paper star, became the symbol of a new era. Humanity had done more than prove their worth. They taught the galaxy how to have fun while facing its greatest challenges. Next week, Maya announced to the delighted council, "We're introducing you to water balloons." The galaxy would never be the same. 5 years after Earth joined the Galactic Federation, humanity made a surprising announcement at the annual Galactic Congress. Dr. Maya Patel stood before the assembled species with an unusual admission. "We were wrong about being strong," she declared. "And that's the most human thing about us." The Congress hall erupted in confused murmurs. The Drachnids, Miracs, and other species who had witnessed human feats firsthand started to protest. "No, listen," Maya continued, activating a holographic display. "We've been studying something interesting. Every species that started working closely with humans has been getting stronger." The display showed remarkable data. Drachnid warriors who trained with human athletes had developed unprecedented endurance. Miracs children who survived their son's death were showing resilience levels approaching human norms. Even the physically fragile Arcturians had started adapting to higher gravity environments. "We weren't special because we were born tough," Maya explained. "We were special because we never stopped pushing our limits. And now, you're all doing it too." She revealed humanity's greatest discovery. Adaptability was contagious, not through genetics, but through mindset. The evidence was everywhere. A Centaurian ship had recently survived conditions that would have destroyed it 5 years ago because its crew thought like humans about the problem. Arcturian scientists had developed environmental suits using principles they learned from watching human children play in the rain. A group of Proximan explorers had survived a crash landing by asking themselves, what would a human kindergartner do with these resources? But the most stunning revelation came from Earth itself. Humans working alongside alien species had started developing new abilities. Enhanced telepathic sensitivity from working with psychic species. Improved night vision from adapting to dark world environments. Even early signs of bioluminescence in some human colonies living on worlds with photosynthetic races. "We didn't make the galaxy stronger," Maya said. "We just reminded everyone that they could grow. And in return, you're helping us evolve in ways we never imagined." To demonstrate, she invited a mixed group of human and alien children to the stage. They performed what they called their impossible circus. Humans demonstrating telepathic tricks learned from Proximans, Drachnids showing remarkable flexibility learned from human yoga, and Miracs children teaching everyone their new art form that combined their natural light manipulation with human dance. The finale of the presentation came when Maya revealed the results of a new study. The children of every species were starting to show similar stress response patterns, not because they were becoming identical, but because they were all learning from each other's strengths. The galaxy didn't need guardians, Maya concluded. It needed teachers, and it turns out we're all pretty good at that. The Congress watched in amazement as Maya introduced the next phase of galactic development, the Universal Growth Initiative. Instead of terraforming planets to suit specific species, they would help species adapt to new environments. The human way. The program's logo, a human child, and an alien child building a sandcastle together. But the most profound change was visible in the new generation. In schools across the galaxy, you could no longer easily tell which species came from which type of world. Not because they looked the same. They were more different than ever, but because they had all learned to thrive anywhere. A young human girl, glowing slightly from her Proximan friend's influence, summed it up best during her school presentation. My grandmother survived because Earth was hard. I'm surviving because we finally learned we don't have to do it alone. The presentation ended with what humans called a potluck, every species bringing food from their world. The sight of humans carefully trying photosynthetic Arcturian light foods while drachnids delightedly discovered Earth's ice cream became the new symbol of galactic unity. As the Congress concluded, a small Mirax child approached Maya with a question. If humans aren't the strongest anymore, what are they? Maya smiled, watching the mixed groups of children playing together, each teaching the others their unique ways of surviving and thriving. We're the ones who never stop learning, she said. And now, that's what everyone is. The galaxy had changed, not because humanity was special, but because they had helped everyone remember that they could be. And that was the greatest human strength of all.